Welcome to Bellingham Tonight, sponsored by Barron Heating and Air Conditioning. This is our second episode, and we are so excited to be here as your host. I am Kristina Michele, and this is Mr. Kevin Coleman.
That's right, Kristina. We are so inspired by the response we've gotten from our community and the enthusiasm you have all shown towards the show. And this is only the beginning. We've got we got lots of things planned for in the future, and we're making some big announcements in the next few months.
Big. Okay. There are so many stories in Bellingham and Whatcom County that aren't being told, and we see Bellingham Tonight as an opportunity and an outlet to provide you with quality information to help broaden perspectives and increase community involvement.
That's right. Just in this last month, we've seen so much happening here. Looking back on the elections, we had a lot of tight races in Bellingham and in Ferndale. We have a new mayor, Seth Fleetwood. Our new county executive, Satpal Sidhu. And we saw better than voter turnout, the second highest in the state, actually. That means that you're listening and you care about local issues and getting involved in our community's future.
Absolutely. And with that in mind, we thought for this episode, we'd open up a discussion about who we are as a community. Tonight, we kick off a series about Bellingham's identity using the Bellingham Flag as a guide. To set the stage, we'll talk with Brad Lockhart, the creator of the Bellingham Flag. And we'll welcome both Fred Lane of the Lummi Nation and Tammy Cooper Woodrich of the Nooksack Indian Tribe.
We'll also hear from Sean Dalgarn from Growing Veterans. And we'll have an exclusive interview with Garen Hatchett, the national ranked lineman at Ferndale High School, led by our friend Tyler Anderson at WhatcomPreps.com.
Before we dive into these conversations, we wanted to know how much you know about the history of this beautiful city that we live in. So let's take a look at this segment we call So You Think You Know Bellingham? Brought to you by Tracy Gillette and Windermere Real Estate.
Hey everybody, I'm Kevin Coleman, and this is
Kristina Michele.
And we're here down on the boardwalk talking to our people around the town about what's happening in Bellingham and what they know. What do you think they know?
I think they know where to find the breweries.
I totally agree with you on that. So why don't we go ask some questions about what they think they know and what they should know?
I'm in.
Let's do it.
Do you happen to know in what decade Bellingham was founded?
Oh, that's a good question.
I'm going to venture the 1890s.
I'm going to say the 20s of 1920. Yeah.
Wasn't it during the gold rush and stuff? Wasn't it a launch off point? 1910.
I know it. I think it was founded in 1910.
Close, 1900, yeah, absolutely. 1900, yeah. 1903.
1903. Okay.
1903, yeah. Do you know how Bellingham got its name?
Is it named after a river? No.
Some guy named Bellingham.
Oh, is there someone named Bellingham, maybe?
There was a big bell and a big ham, and they came together, and here we are.
John Belling III.
I should. I mean, I know it was 4 communities and how they incorporated, but I can't remember the answer to that. No, sorry.
From the Bay, though actually it was an election that formed the name of Bellingham, because we had Whatcom and Seaholm, and they had an election and chose the name Bellingham. I'm the retired Whatcom County Auditor. I served for 24 years as county auditor.
Do you know the 2 Native American reservations here in Whatcom County?
We've got one.
Well, the Lummi.
Okay.
But then there's also the one that's further east.
There's the Lummi tribe, and I don't know the second.
Yes, the Lummi. And what's the other
Nooksack.
one? Nooksack.
Perfect.
Lummi and Nooksack.
No hesitation. Nailed it. All right, last one. True or false? Mount Shuckson is the Salish name for Mount Baker.
Oh,
Okay. All right. So should we phone a friend?
Can we phone a friend?
I don't know. True or false?
I'm gonna say false.
True? False. False. I'm going true.
Yeah, true.
You're both wrong. Yeah, it's false.
There's only two options. If you pick one, I'll pick the other one, and we'll get it right.
Okay.
So which one do you want?
It is true.
And it is false.
Oh, no, because it's Kolshan. I'm going to go with no.
You are then correct by default, even though you cheated.
Okay, well, that's cool. I'm glad I found that out.
The more you know.
The more you know.
Yeah. Thanks, Jake. Appreciate it.
Of course,
Yeah. All right.
All right.
Awesome.
I'd like to give a shout out to my superhero, my mom. Hi. Okay.
I know I cannot say how much I love going out and doing those on the street interviews enough. It is so fun to engage with the community. It is so fun to find out what you know.
Absolutely. And what's really interesting to me is people who are coming in from out of the area that do know so much about Bellingham.
So much.
I know. It's
We're
crazy.
surprised every time.
Every single time.
Da, 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 da. Before bringing on our guest, let's talk about local sports.
Let's talk about local sports. So after the first show, I realized that talking sports wasn't really my jam. So we decided to leave it to somebody who really knows their stuff. Tyler Anderson from WhatcomPreps.com, and thanks to Science Plus for making this segment of the show so possible.
Hi, I'm Tyler Anderson from WhatcomPreps.com. Here's what's happening in high school sports in your home county. As fall sports are wrapping up, it's state time. Who can you root for from Whatcom County? In volleyball, in the Class 1A, Linden Christian, Nooksack Valley, and Meridian have all advanced to the state playoffs. In 2A, Linden and Seaholm have done the same. And in 3A, Ferndale has reached the state playoffs for the 7th season in a row. In girls soccer, Linden Christian's 1-0 win in the first round has advanced the Lynx into a showdown against Lakeside. Ferndale's season ended in a heartbreaker in the second round of the state playoffs, but they enjoyed their greatest season in school history. In boys cross country, the Seaholm Mariners did it again. They won the state championship for their 8th year in a row. Bellingham got 4th in state, and Nooksack Valley finished 13th in the 1A. In girls cross country, Bellingham got 2nd in state as a team, and senior Livy Lackland Henry finished 2nd place out of all the runners. Seaholm finished 3rd in the state in 2A, and in 1A, Linden Christian finished 13th. In football, Linden Christian and Mount Baker are each looking to make a strong push in the 1A playoffs. They were both seeded very high and have very strong coaches that have gone through this before. The Linden Lions could do the same in the 2A bracket, as Coach Blake Van Dalen has his team looking to get back to the state championship game that they were in last year. Squalicum has been eliminated from the 3A state playoffs, but sophomore Javensky Schlembaker ran for 2,000 yards this season. He's the 6th player in Whatcom County history to accomplish that feat and the first ever sophomore to do so. I'd also like to personally thank Rob Meyer for his time, access, and countless interviews over the past 20 years. As Nooksack Valley's all-time winningest coach, he stepped down after the 2019 season, and I'm going to miss him greatly, and I know many others will as well. Looking ahead, winter sports are just around the corner, and that means it's almost time for basketball, wrestling, boys swimming and diving, and girls gymnastics. There's a lot to be excited about this winter, and during a field report earlier this week, I was able to catch up with someone who also has a lot to be excited about. He's 6'5", he's 280 pounds, he's all conference, he's all state, he's all American, he's going to the University of Washington on a football scholarship. He is Ferndale senior, Gieran Hatchett.
Hi, I'm Tyler Anderson from WhatcomPreps.com. I'm standing here with senior Gieran Hatchett of Ferndale High School. He's a 4-year starter on both sides of the line, guard and defensive end. He's heading to the University of Washington on a scholarship to play football, and we're all excited about that. He's been a multiple-time all-conference, all-state participant. He's going to be playing in the Polynesian Bowl, which is kind of an all-American type game for high school football players. and we're really happy to have you here today.
Yeah,
Garen.
thanks for having me.
So before we look ahead, let's look back a little bit. A 4-year starter on both sides of the line, 29-14 record with Ferndale, a very successful 4 years. Do you have any favorite memories from those last 4 years?
I mean, just getting to play young with some of the guys that I grew up watching. I mean, I have a couple neighbors that were seniors when I was a freshman, so just growing up with them and then getting to play with them was really cool. And then also just this year, coming back, getting to lead the team, getting to play with my freshman brother and a couple of his freshman buddies, Isaiah Carlson and them. So it was really fun to get to lead those guys and get to play with them for sure.
That is a really neat experience to be able to play with your brother. I mean, someone that's 3 years younger, usually when you're in 1st and 4th grade, you don't get that chance.
Yeah.
But at the varsity level, you do get that chance, it works. You line up right next to each other at center and guard, defensive tackle, defensive end. Explain what that was like.
It was really cool. I mean, it was really cool for me personally, just playing with him in the backyard growing up and all that, to get to see him grow up and then do what I did my freshman year, start both ways on the offensive and defensive line. It was a really cool experience for me, my family, my parents, everything like that.
You wear number 66. I'm always fascinated why a player chooses a number. Do you have a reason you wear number 66?
That was my dad's number.
Oh, okay,
He was 66 growing up, so when he told me that, when I first heard that, I had to be 66 when I was, I think my first year of tackle football was 3rd grade, so 9 years old. So
when you were my size?
Not quite. I'm probably around here.
Yeah.
But I was still a big 9-year-old.
Yeah, but as a fan, when I watch, my favorite play is when you're on offense is when you're a pulling guard, obviously.
Of course, yeah.
Is there a play call that when you're in the huddle and Hayden Rasmussen, your quarterback, calls a play and you say, yes, this is the play that I love to play? Is there a play like that?
Yeah, I would have to say our fly sweep series where we got my best buddy Jake Brosell and coming in motion, and I'm pulling right out in front of him. I usually get to go hit the outside linebacker, go light up a corner. So that's probably my favorite, especially when he's behind me, because I mean he's just my best friend, and then he can find the hole and get going.
Exactly. Speaking of lighting up a corner, believe it or not, I played high school football. You look at me when you're pulling and you see a guy my size. Do you feel bad at all, or are you just doing your job?
I don't really feel bad. I mean, maybe after the play, if I see him on the ground, I might feel a little bad. But when I'm going out there, I don't really care about size or anything. I'm just doing my job, hoping my running back can score a touchdown.
If you had any advice to, I mean, I'm sure you've given advice to your brother, but any even younger players that are, junior high, that are highly touted, and you said, this is what you need to do to stay on the narrow and everything, and play at the next level, what kind of advice would you give that player?
Always be working hard. Always be in the weight room whenever you can. Always try and be a leader to your other teammates. I mean, that really shows the difference between a guy who has been working hard all 4 years and who has been leading your teammates, other than a guy who maybe worked out one summer with the team and hasn't really been a team player or anything. It really shows a big difference in the play on the field and your likeliness around the team. So I would definitely just say always work hard, always be a leader, always do the right thing.
That's awesome. All right, so you heard it here. Garen Hatchett, class of 2020, is going to the University of Washington to play football. We're all excited to see him. You can check back with walkinpreps.com. I'm going to try to keep tabs on him and see how he does, and maybe be a guest picker in the future for us for the high school football stuff. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Tyler.
Thank you.
Was awesome. Thank you, Tyler, for a great interview. It's so nice to see someone like Garen who wanting to stay in the area. Congratulations, Garen, on your accomplishments and your hard work paying off. We're looking to see what you do at the UW.
We'll meet Brad Lockhart next, but first, a word from the local businesses that make this show possible.
Barron is your trusted, local, full-service heating, cooling, electrical, plumbing, and fireplace contractor. As a community supporter, we take pride in providing family wages to over 145 employees in Whatcom County and reinvesting in career development through the Barron Technician School. Barron is dedicated to finding the most effective ways to optimize comfort, improve indoor air quality, and increase energy efficiency. We are your Pacific Northwest home and building performance experts. Our mission? Improving lives.
Tracy was just so great to work with as a realtor. We just felt so comfortable with her.
I felt like Tracy was as excited as we were.
She really she gave a lot of her time. We felt really like she was really committed to us, and just such a champion for what we were looking for.
It was a great experience. We had a lot of fun working with Tracy, and we ended up with everything that we wanted, which made it possible.
Welcome back. We are so excited to bring on our first guest, Mr. Brad Lockhart, creator of the Bellingham Flag. Come on up, Brad.
Kristina.
Kevin. Good to see you.
Welcome, welcome.
Welcome.
Hello.
Yeah. So I'm really excited because I've been working with you for the past few years and seeing this entire flag come to fruition, and now it's indoctrined to our everyday way of life.
Absolutely.
So, congrats, man.
Thank you. Yeah,
That's awesome.
Been a fun journey, and I feel like sometimes the flag lulls and then comes back up, and I feel like right now it's really on the upswing. A lot of new people using it in different exciting ways. Just today, a member of the Bellingham Fire Department sent me she customized her screen for her firefighter visor with the Bellingham flag.
I saw that.
Yeah, and I was like, man, that's so awesome. Like, that's exactly what I like to see it be used for. So.
Yeah, number 88.
Yeah,
I saw it.
yeah,
it's awesome.
It's just the best usage of that sort of symbol. Really excited.
So why flags, Brad?
Why flags? Yes. You know, the answer years ago would have been, I don't care at all about flags. But over the past few years, it's just become this weird, huge part of my life. I've come from a creative background, so I studied graphic design in college. I've been doing professional logo design and poster design over the last 10 years or so. But it wasn't really until I got invited to design a flag for the unofficial contest that I kind of started thinking about flags and looking at flags. And now I'm become what the word is, a vexillologist. So it's a person that is an expert, or sort of expert, but someone who cares a lot about flag design and flag history. And so now I pay attention to just about every flag I see. I can't even see an American flag without wondering, like, is that poly cotton blend? Is that, you know, nylon? Like, is that stitched? Like, oh, was that, how many stars are on that? Is that before, you know, Hawaii or whatever? Like, it's weird. Every single flag I see now, I pay attention closer to. And, but it all kind of comes back to that, like, graphic design, logo design, iconography design, sort of history. And yeah, that's just a huge part of my life now.
Well, and it's also, too, because of, I guess, you focusing on things, the creating identity for everything. And so that, for Bellingham, has had an adoption process. And so what has that been like with the flag?
With the adoption process of the flag? Yeah, it's been like a long, slow journey, but like I said, it has like little highlights along the way. You know, like from the beginning, it was an unofficial symbol created by you know, a nonprofit, the Bellingham Partnership. But then it was sort of handed to me from them when they couldn't promote it anymore. So then it was kind of my sort of task or my kind of project. Then once I put it out into the public domain a few years ago, then it kind of became the people's project. So I feel like it kind of gets handed around to different people. Right now, you know, you see it a lot in the government, and so the government now is kind of using it since the adoption. So it's kind of like changed hands a lot. But every time it changes hands, I think it also stays in your hands. Like, okay, I'm not going to worry about it as much, let somebody else promote it, but it's still like my symbol. So it just kind of slowly, you know, spreads out.
Right.
Yeah.
So you not only have the flag, or get to take credit for it, the Bellingham flag, but also the city seal?
Yeah, not everybody knows that, but a couple of years ago, I redesigned the city seal of Bellingham, which you see on the vehicles and on the water bills, regrettably enough, when it shows up in my mail.
Water bill.
Like, I made that. But it also shows up on checks sometimes too, which is nice. So
And
that's
I get that.
Yeah,
See?
exactly. So, yeah, that was kind of an unofficial process. Basically, I was working at Faith Life here in town, one of the sponsors or presenters here, and the CEO asked me if I could kind of use the lessons and the skills that I learned from the flag to redesign the seal, which I did. I just kind of cleaned it up, simplified it a bit, and added the colors from the flag and some of the graphic elements. And so now the two really connect really well, which is nice. You can see them. Sometimes they are right next to each other, but they don't clash, which is really good. And so it's a nice, solid visual identity.
Yeah, it's a good synergy. I like the way it kind of combines. So I tell you what, I think we have a little reel about what it is that you do with the Bellingham flag. And
yeah, the creation of the flag, or the meaning and everything.
Yeah. So why don't we just take a little break and let's take a look at that.
My name is Bradley James Lockhart from Bellingham, Washington. I am a graphic designer, animator, vexillographer, and part-time musician. In the city of Bellingham, I am most well known for creating the Bellingham Flag, as you see here. 4 years ago, I was invited to participate in an unofficial flag design contest. Having a lot of vested interest in this community, especially the creative community, I was really excited to participate in the design contest. I sketched it over and over again in a notebook, brought it onto a computer, made a vector version of it where I could adjust the colors and the shapes. I would add elements like raindrops and trees, and then take them away, just kind of ramp them up and ramp it down and kind of distill it to as powerful as it could be. It's a great opportunity to kind of cohesively wrap us all together. The Bellingham flag has 4 main parts. One is a large blue field for Bellingham Bay, 2 white 4-sided stars for the Lummi Nation and the Nooksack Tribe, 3 wavy lines, which is a symbol of the word Whatcom. Whatcom translates to noisy waters. 4 green stripes for the original towns of Bellingham. That's Whatcom, Seaholm, Bellingham, and Fairhaven. And if you fly the flag vertically, then the wavy lines become a depiction of Whatcom Falls itself. I didn't think that the Bellingham flag would ever even be officially adopted. I had my fingers crossed that that would happen. There was a lot of formal steps, resolutions and approvals from the Lummi and the Nooksack Tribe, which we wanted to make sure that that was okay since we had symbols on there that represented them. But I certainly didn't know that not only would it be adopted, but it would be used by hundreds of people in different ways. It's been crocheted into clothing, it's been printed on sportswear, tattoos, t-shirts, stickers, hats. Flag design has 5 basic principles, as outlined in this very handy pamphlet, Good Flag, Bad Flag. Those are to keep it simple. A flag should be so simple that a child can draw it from memory. Use meaningful symbolism. 2 to 3 basic colors. No lettering or seals, and be distinctive or be related. I love the opportunity to speak at schools to not only tell the story of how the flag was designed and adopted, but to just give an example, real-world examples of how you can be a creative person today and earn a living. As a kid, I necessarily wasn't told about graphic design or logo design or digital animation, and industries that are only getting bigger now. And so I love the opportunity to go speak and to kind of pull back the curtain on something that we might see every day and explain that it actually wasn't that hard to make something like this happen, and that you can too, basically. One thing I love about seeing the flag out there in the wild is that it's like a little connection between me and a stranger, even though they don't even always know that it's me. But also that connection is bigger because it connects like civil servants to citizens. It connects old people to young people. Obligation, I think, is really the word, to each other and to this place. So it's a symbol of I care about you because you live here, and I care about the environment, I care about the community. I feel like the Bellingham flag itself is like a symbol of kind of promise and obligation.
Thank you to First Federal for making that segment possible. I feel like we should clap for that one too. Now, one of my favorite new topics of discussion is orca face.
Orca face.
Can we talk about the orca in the room?
Yeah, the origin of orca face. Basically, just last summer, pretty recently, the Seattle Times kind of kicked off this initiative to redesign the City of Seattle flag. So I had this very thoughtful, serious design that I came up with that was an emerald and some stripes, and it represented the water and the hills and the history. And the Times ran it and they liked it, but then The Stranger, which is a much more wacky kind of arts and culture music magazine, was like, we're gonna run our own contest. So I was like, well, here's the orca, not orca, I sent the emerald to them, but then I was like, I just had these other ideas brewing. One was like a salmon skin, and one was like a giant orca's face. So I made this simple design. It was just 2 overlapping circles that created this face. I sent it to them, and they became obsessed with it. Like, from day one, they promoted it, they wrote blog posts about it. People started making their own fan Twitters that had hundreds of followers. And like here was this thing that I really cared a lot about, and then this joke just skyrocketed above it. It ended up getting thousands of more votes than the Emerald, which also got selected, so they were both in the top 10. But then at the end of the day, I had to tell them the truth, like, okay, that was a joke one that I made, and they're like, oh no. So they both got kicked out in the end, which was sad, but it was just an unofficial thing. It was just for fun, and I think the Orca was an accidental good flag design. Like it was just a playful, weird face, but people really loved it. So now it kind of exists in stickers and flags, and some people in Seattle, I see it in bars in Seattle and stuff. So some people love it, and so yeah, it's great. Oops.
Right? Well, it also didn't hurt the fact that you had two different names behind that.
Yes.
You had Brad as the
I had
one.
Brad Lockhart and Chet Clapper was my alias, which is very, very real sounding name.
Right.
But yeah, chetclapper@gmail.com. Hit me up if you want some orcas or whatever.
Almost specialize in them. That is amazing. So after Orca faces and Emerald flags, you, I imagine, are talented in other aspects?
Yeah, so one of the main things that I do nowadays is animation, so 2D graphic animation. That was my job for a few years, and now I do it freelance through my own studio. This last summer I animated a 20-minute kids cartoon, and I just did an advertisement from a studio from New York, and I just kind of pick up little pieces here and there, but that's kind of become one of my main sources of income is motion graphics animation. I also teach sometimes part-time at Western. Should be coming back next year to do 2D motion graphics.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I think we actually have a couple samples of that as well.
Yeah.
Some of your amazing work. If we could take a look at that.
What don't you do?
A little bit of everything.
I know. You know what? I so appreciate you being here. I think you're awesome. I can't wait to see what you do in the future. You're just an awesome person. Thanks for bringing the flag to us.
Thank you for everybody.
Thanks for being here. Really appreciate it. And now, another word from our sponsor.
This is Westy. Westy runs Jaeger's Sporting Goods. This is Westy's dog, Penny. Penny's easily distracted, but she loves to go hunting and fishing with Westy. Yes, Westy and Penny are a pair of Pacific Northwesterners through and through. And Westy and Penny love banking at their local Pacific Northwest Bank. First Federal. People love us.
Welcome back. Now, from So You Think You Know Bellingham, we know that we have two local reservations. We have the Nooksack Indian Tribe and the Lummi Nation. From the Lummi Nation, we'd like to invite our first up to the stage, our first guest, Mr. Fred Lane. Come on up.
Thank you for coming.
Absolutely. Yeah, thank you.
How are you doing today?
Good, thank you. It's a beautiful day to be a Bellinghammer.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. First, let's talk about your amazing necklace. I need to know everything.
It was made by one of our local artists on the reservation. You know, we have our communities are so diverse, and so I always think it's real important for us to, you know, buy local, support our local artists, and so it's a box design. It's hand carved,
It's beautiful.
hand-painted. Thank you.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
And I've also heard that you have a beautiful traditional name. Would you mind sharing that with us?
Yeah. Well, my Indian name is Salkadab. I was going to say Freddie Lane. My Indian name is Salkadab. It comes from my grandmother's side. She's a full-blood Upper Skagit tribal member, and my grandfather's Lummi. And so they had an arranged marriage back when they were 13 years old. And these are, you know, some of not so, you know, distant ancient past, but so Salkadab was my grandmother's grand uncle. And so it doesn't have any specific meaning. It was just his name. So yeah, thank you. Thank you.
So you're with the Lummi tribe. What should we know about the Lummi tribe?
Well, what shall we know about the Lummi tribe? For those of you that know the history of Bellingham and the area of the Lummi Reservation, we're a treaty tribe. So on January 22nd, 1855 is when the tribe ceded all of the San Juan Islands and what we call Clactamish territory. The name of our tribe is Clactamish. The New Lummi is the name place of the bay, Lummi Bay, in this general area. It's New Lummi, so the early settlers couldn't pronounce New Lummi, but so they just titled it Lummi Reservation. We're reservation right now about 12,000 acres. We got 5,285 tribal members. How I know that? I'm on council. No, I just, those are statistics. We're the second largest employer in Whatcom County, believe it or not. We have almost a couple thousand employees from the casino to Northwest Indian College and to the tribal center. We're also a sovereign nation. We have our own codes of law. We're stewards of the land and the air and the beautiful Salish Sea. Lummi is known for our totem pole journeys, dating back to 9/11 when we brought the 3 totem poles to New York, Flight 93 in the Pentagon. And as well as the latest fights, we not that we picked the fights to fight pipelines and coal ports, but Lummi's an international leader. It's not that we don't think a coal port's good for the community, but we have to protect our rivers, we have to protect the land, the air, and so Lummi's been a real a powerful ally, I say, in the community. And we're neighbors, and just recently we hosted the canoe journey, the tribal canoe journey, which brought about 50,000 visitors to the area. More than 50 tribes came to visit. We had about 100 canoes. It was just a wonderful time to be indigenous and to be from the #1 state in the United States.
And what's this?
It's true.
Yes. What's the specific name of the event that you were just speaking on that brought 50,000 people here?
The tribal journey is a canoe journey. It was this year. It was called Paddle to Lummi. Each year it's different. It started in 1989 with the paddle to Seattle. About 7 canoes came ashore. Tribes wanted to these are all our ancestral highways. I was talking with my relative earlier about how, we have to take care of these lands and these waters. And so Canoe Journey really solidifies our relationship with one another, our local tribes. The history of tribes is, we used to war. I always say this, tribes have been at war since the beginning of time. And even tribes are fighting to this day, whether it be over fishing or areas. And for those that know the history, about like the Bellingham Red Raiders, for example, well, the Red Raiders were the canoes that came out of the north, and so they didn't really have a good name. And so what a lot of people don't know about the tribe is Lummi, or our Clactamish people, were the ones that had that final war where they basically came down and they stole our women and children. And so I always joke with our Haida Gwaii friends and relatives, and I would say, well, that's why you guys are so beautiful, because of Lummi people.
The imported. I get it.
You were recently talking about bringing all these tribes together and with the canoes and everything like that. And one of our big efforts here on the show is creating community and bringing bridges creating bridges and unification. And so, how do you see the Lummi tribe doing that with our community?
Well, we're all Americans, and we're going to be neighbors far longer. The tribe hasn't had a really good relationship. I went to Ferndale High School. Back in the early days, once the boat decision of 1974, which we say we lost 50% of our ability to fish salmon. And so there was a lot of racism in our communities back in the day, even in my time. I'm 51. And so with our ability, this day and age, like I said earlier, we have so much in common as neighbors. We don't pick our fights and to war with, corporations. Corporations are people too, Citizens United. And so a lot of times tribes have the ability to stand up for our communities, for our neighbors, and we don't do this for us. We do this for your children's children's children, so they have clean water, so they have clean air. And we look at, look at Bellingham Bay as one of the most dirtiest, most polluted. Why? Because of Georgia Pacific. We all know that sad history, and so now it's great to see all of our communities coming together and working together. We all have our differences. It's like having relatives, they're your relatives, but that's not by your choice. But you still gotta love them, and you still gotta grow together. And to be from Bellingham, we're so blessed to have clean water coming from Quilshan, from Mount Baker. We're so blessed to have diversity and to celebrate diversity. And you just seen, I always joke with Sat Paul, I'm like, hey, that's my relative, that's my Indian relative, Sat Paul, who just got elected, but that doesn't mean that we can't work together and to bring our communities together, like Canoe Journey, like these totem pole journeys, because like I say, we see climate change first and foremost on our shores, even on the reservation. Go down to down by where you go over to the Portage Island there, and you see the deterioration. You see our lands washing away. And so, I just hear our elders were the first generation to recognize global climate change. And we really are the last generation that can do something about it. So we fight the good fights because we know it's the right thing to do. And again, not for us, but for our neighbors, for our friends, for our relatives that live across the bay. Because we have to recognize each other, that we're all a part of the human family, and it's our sacred duty and sacred trust to look out for the generations to come.
I couldn't have said any better.
That was beautiful. Incredible. You are an absolute delight. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
One more time for Mr. Fred Lane. And now, helping this be a thing, another word from our sponsors.
Hi, I'm Molly McGarry, and I own Ishk Irish Pub. Gary has worked in my home. He's worked in apartments that I've lived in over the years. He's worked for my father at my father's house on Lummi Island. Just the fact that I know that I can call Gary at any time, have him respond so efficiently, I would recommend his company to anyone.
Whether it's repairing a leak in the middle of the night or putting the final touches on a remodel, Gary's Plumbing is there for you.
Welcome back. Our next guest is Tammy Cooper Woodrich, representing the Nooksack Tribe. Welcome.
Thank
you so much
Glad
for being here.
Thanks.
Thank you.
We're so excited to have you.
Thank you.
So, like we knew that Fred had a beautiful traditional name, we have heard that you are a phenomenal storyteller.
Oh, well, thank you.
Is there any way we could get a little sample?
Sure.
You know, stories have been around for a long time, and our traditional oral history shows that how important stories are. And as you heard from my relative, how important the story continues. So a long, long time ago, there was these two chief's sons. One of them, his name was Komokoshan. The other one, his name was Tahoma. Those two brothers in arms and in their chieftainships, they were going to be married because arrangement of marriages happened a long time ago. They were promised this set of twins. Each one of them were going to have a twin for their wife. But you know, as time went on, both of those girls fell in love with Komokoshan. Oh, those girls adored him. You know, Tahoma, he got really jealous too. But the Creator looked down at these two girls and they were fighting all the time. Who was going to marry Komokoshan? Creator knew what to do. He grabbed those two girls and he placed them at the foot of Komokoshan. And there they sit today, unable to touch Komokoshan. And to this day, you see Tahoma, he's risen above so he can look over the mountain range to make sure those girls don't get close to him. And that's the end of the story.
That's awesome.
Yes.
I wanted to get popcorn and just listen to you all day. Just like, you're fantastic. Tell me about the Nooksack Tribe. Tell us about them.
Well, the Nooksack Tribe is upriver, as we can see from the flag.
Nice.
Yeah. So we are a tribe there up in the North Fork area of the Nooksack River, and we've been there since the time of memorial. And our tribe at one time is believed to have had 27 villages along the river, from the mountain all the way to Bellingham Bay, down at Marietta. And the tribe is consistent of 1,800 people around about, and most of the tribal people are here in Whatcom County, approximately 900 of them, and then throughout Washington, and then throughout the United States and Canada. So we live all over the place, and we are a sovereign nation also. And so our tribal council runs our nation as a sovereign, and it's like having a separate country right here in Whatcom County.
Absolutely. And do you run into people still that don't exactly know what that means?
Oh, yes. Yes. As we know, the history has been lacking, as we know. I was telling you earlier that in the history books when I was in school, there was one sentence. You know, the Native Americans, or they said the Indians in the Pacific Northwest, live in long houses. And that was pretty much it. And so, you know, everyone looked to me in class. Oh, do you live in a long house? You know? And when I traveled, even to this day I travel, people say, do you live in a teepee? No. They would probably mold.
Very good point.
What do you see with some of the obstacles with the Nooksack Tribe?
I think one of the largest obstacles is the loss of our language. So, you know, staying in touch with our culture is very important, and language is the largest piece of that. So now we look towards our food and our food sovereignty. So that's another piece. You know, we're very rich here in the Northwest with and abundant natural resources, and, you know, we hunt, we fish, we gather. And so food brings us together in celebration and in sorrow. And we use that for our gathering place, and that's part of our culture and traditions, is the food. Everyone gathers around the fire pit for the barbecued salmon, so that's important.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that sounds wonderful.
Is there anything specifically that you individually or as a tribe are looking forward to in the next coming years?
Yes, we are actually looking forward to a new wellness center that's coming to our tribe.
That's a big deal.
So that hopefully will be another place that we can get health benefits and create a wellness center that will attract people to healing, and we'll be able to, you know, insert our cultural and traditional ways into that also. So we're very excited about that. That's been in the works for about 20 years. But you know how that goes.
Yes. So is there an actual finish line?
Well, we're hoping,
on the horizon?
we're hoping within 5-year period to be done with that.
Fingers crossed on 7.
Yes.
Right. So as I was telling Fred, our show is also about building community and making sure our community can work together. How can the Nooksack work with our community so that we become stronger?
I think education is probably very important. If people could dive into knowing what we are about as a sovereign nation and, you know, create an understanding of why it's important for us to be our own governing bodies. And, you know, to respect that and honor that is very important, I think.
What type of backlash are you getting against it?
I think there really isn't a backlash besides just being uneducated.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a big problem.
Yeah. Is there a question that you would want our viewers to ask each other?
I think just being able to understand our cultural and traditional ways and to know that we've been here since the time of memorial. So maybe just asking, you know, how can we work together and how can we become a place where we can all move forward together, just like my relative said, you know, in creating a moving force that we can all come together and work together in the very important issues that are on the table every day, the, you know, environment and the climate change and things like that.
Absolutely.
So if we're looking to get more information on the Nooksack tribe, where should we look?
Well, you can look at the nooksack.org.
Perfect.
There you go.
That's a good place to start.
Well, it's been great having you here.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Tammy. We appreciate your time and coming on and letting us torture you a little bit.
Thank you.
One more time for Tammy, please.
As is November, we wanted to say thanks with help from Gary's Plumbing and Heating to our veterans who've helped serve and protect our country and have given us the freedoms that we are so blessed to have. We turn now to our soapbox segment where we'll feature Sean Dalgarn with Growing Veterans. Let's please take a look.
War is traumatic. Without the right support, that trauma can be isolating, damaging, or deadly. PTSD causes anxiety, sleep problems, numbness, avoidance, guilt, shame, anger, depression, and so much more. Imagine being a kid and waiting for your parent to come back from deployment. Finally they do, but they're different. They regularly isolate themselves. They lash out at others. They're just too distant or too paranoid to hear the words, "You're home, you're safe." 13% of deployed and non-deployed veterans from Iraq and Afghanistan experience PTSD. Without the right support, that cycle of isolation and depression caused by PTSD can turn deadly. I can't stop wars from happening. I can't stop service members from making the necessary sacrifices to keep us safe. And I can't stop traumatic experiences from causing PTSD. But I can help make a thriving, inviting, and healing community for veterans when they return home. Growing Veterans is a farm that creates a place where veterans can find purpose and camaraderie again. It's a professional stepping stone that gives vets opportunities to get involved and work alongside the community members. We're all looking for purpose in our community. I came out to the farm to find camaraderie and reconnect with friends and fellow service members, and I stayed because I found what I was looking for. A day on the farm with our vets removes previously held stereotypes and shows our community that veterans are assets and allies in the sustainable agriculture movement. The honor and the support that we receive from the community has been invaluable. We could not exist without you. If you know any veterans, no matter how long they've served, check in with them. Thank them for their service. Do one better by asking them, what are they excited for in life? Help them grow that excitement by enabling them to find their community. Who is a veteran you know? What kind of community are you growing with them?
Please join us in welcoming our next guest on the show, Mr. Sean Dalgarn. How are you doing, Sean?
I'm fantastic. It's a pleasure to be here.
Well, we're glad to have you here. I'm very excited to have you on. Having a father who was in Vietnam, who suffers from PTSD, it is nice to see what you guys are doing for veterans. And I've also been to the farm, so I love what you guys are doing. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Tell us a little bit about Growing Veterans.
Well, we are a 3-acre organic farm out in Linden, Washington. We're a nonprofit organization. We got our nonprofit status in 2015. We grow a lot of your standard row crops, and our ultimate goal and mission is to empower military veterans to grow food, communities, and each other. Yeah, we also partner with a lot of local businesses. Aslan Brewing has produced our Charlie Foxtrot IPA, incorporating some of our organic hops that we grow on the farm. And we also partner with El Fuego Hot Sauce to produce our Fire in the Hole hot sauce, which utilizes our garlic, our honey, our serrano peppers, and our early jalapenos.
Those are 2 products I enjoy often, so thank you for that.
Thank you.
Learn something new every day. So how did you get involved in Growing Veterans?
Well, I got involved with Growing Veterans in the spring of 2015, shortly after graduating from Western Washington University. I actually met the founder, Chris Brown, who is a Purple Heart recipient and Marine Corps veteran with multiple deployments to Iraq and Afghanistan. He founded the organization out of a need that he saw in the community, and one of my best friends actually got involved shortly after he got out of school and told me to come out and get some dirt therapy. I didn't really know what that meant, and I've been involved ever since in one way, shape, or form. So yeah, it's been tremendous. It's been I've learned a lot in a short period of time, and I wouldn't change it for the world.
That's awesome. So you obviously have a reason for going there. Tell us about you.
Well, I am a United States Air Force veteran. I was a security force troop. I did 2 deployments to Iraq. I was in Kirkuk, northern Iraq, in 2005, supporting the 101st Airborne Division, and then I was in central Baghdad, working out of the United States Embassy for the Army as well. We were the sheriffs of Baghdad, and then in 2008, I went to Kuwait. Or Baghdad was 2007, Kuwait was 2008. I got out in 2009. And yeah, I got my degree, started going to school, used my GI Bill, and got a bachelor's in arts and human services from Western Washington University, which was pretty transformative in my process of reintegrating back into society and understanding what it was to just be again. And I really owe a lot of my transition back into society to the wonderful people and this amazing community in Whatcom County.
That's awesome.
That's amazing. What is an average day on this wonderful farm that you help organize and operate?
Yeah, well, for me, I usually get up at about 6 o'clock in the morning. I'm out at the farm about 8 o'clock. Usually it's earlier in the summertime because you want to get started before the heat of the day. We'll lay out our daily plans, whether it's planting, seeding, transplanting. There's always weeding. There's always weeding. And yeah, we have a lot of projects that we do. We actually just we actually just finished our annual gala, which was hugely successful. It took place out at Semiahmoo Resort. We also offer internships for students that are enrolled in college, in the local colleges. We're also an approved VA work-study site and Veteran Conservation Corps internship site. So we have veterans that come out to the farm and we supervise them and help them learn about sustainable agriculture and everything under the umbrella of that, and as well as provide peer support and provide a space for people to come out and be real and talk about the things that might be uncomfortable in certain situations, and hopefully grow from there. Ultimately, our mission is to abolish isolation and veteran suicide.
Yeah.
Big cross you're undertaking.
Right, absolutely. So with PTSD and all these other things that are happening to vets that are coming back without the help with mental health and all these other things, what are some misconceptions that people have about vets?
I think one misconception, and it's slowly but surely being removed from the social conscious, I guess, is that we're broken and we need to be fixed. We're no different than anybody else. Trauma is relative, and understanding how much closer related we are than we are apart is a huge part of what we do. While we are a veterans organization, we are not a veterans club. We do not make changes in our community if we exist in an echo chamber with everyone that agrees with us. So we invite the community to come out. We challenge the community to come out. We also would like to inject ourselves into the community. We donate thousands of pounds of organic produce to the Whatcom County Food Bank to feed our local communities and show that we are purpose-driven and that we can contribute and we can make a difference.
It's amazing. So how can we as the community get involved?
Well, you can contact me. You can go to www.growingveterans.org. Our email addresses are readily available under staff and bios, and there's a myriad ways that you can get involved. We have tons of opportunities for volunteering. We have, like I said, internship opportunities for veterans and non-veterans. If you're interested in anything under the sustainable agriculture umbrella, we can provide you an opportunity. And if you know a veteran that's struggling, if you know a friend or a family member that's struggling and you think that they could get something productive out of what we provide, send them our way. We'd love to have them.
Yeah. Well, you guys do awesome stuff. One last question for you. What is one question you would want our viewers to ask each other?
That's a good question. I would say a question that you could ask yourselves is what are you doing? What are you doing? Who are you engaging, and how are you engaging them? It can be really scary when you think somebody is suicidal or has experienced a traumatic event, and tiptoeing around that doesn't necessarily help that person. Right. So really ask those questions. We in the business say, ask the darn question. Just ask it. It may be uncomfortable. It may bring a lot of emotion and a tidal wave of things, that you may not have foreseen, but ultimately just asking the question, are you in trouble? Are you, can I help you? How can I help you? Do you know about A, B, and C? And referring them to us or referring them to a myriad of the other veterans organizations that are just, chomping at the bit to help people in our community.
Incredible.
Thank you, Sean. Thank you for being here. We appreciate it, and we appreciate everything you do for our community.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Our next show will be taped on December 10th at Mount Baker Theater, and we'll be talking about some tough subjects that affect all of us, one of them being homelessness. We realize this is a big topic and it can be controversial. So we want to open up the conversation to you, the community.
That's right. Our guests will be Hans Erkinger Davis of Lighthouse Mission and Emily O'Connor from Lydia Place. If there are stories or topics related to homelessness that you want us to cover or explore, please reach out to us to BellinghamTonightShow.com or on our Facebook page at Bellingham Tonight.
And that's our show.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time.
No matter what people want you to believe, don't ever turn back on your dreams. It's all in your hands, a change is near. Close your eyes, listen, the sound is so clear.